This is the mark inked into her shoulder. A shoulder the Siberian ice kept whole for 25 centuries. It is lit, it is photographed, it is catalogued. And after 30 years of study, no one alive can read it. She lies under glass in southern Siberia, in a sarcophagus chilled to match the permafrost that kept her whole. The people of the Altai call her Princess Ukok. No inscription anywhere calls her that. The name is reverence, not a record. And here is the strange part. History is usually a story of erasure. Names chiseled off stone, records burned, faces scratched from walls by the people who came after. This is the opposite. Nothing here was hidden by human hands. She was hidden by frost. And when the frost let go, it handed back a riddle no one was ever meant to solve. In 1993, the archaeologist Natalia Polosmak led a team onto the Ukok Plateau. It is a high, treeless grassland near the borders of Russia, Mongolia, China, and Kazakhstan. The kind of ground that holds frost in its bones, even in summer. Under one burial mound, a kurgan like dozens of others on the plateau, the permafrost had refused to let go of something. Inside a coffin, hollowed from a single larch log, lay a woman of the Pazyryk, a horse-riding people related to the Scythians. She wore a headdress nearly a meter tall. She was dressed in wild silk. Normally, skin, silk, and wood vanish first. Here, they survived for 25 centuries. It lasted because water seeped into the chamber after the burial, froze solid around her, and the mountain cold never let it thaw. The ice sealed the grave like a vault. Through war, through empire, through 25 centuries of weather, until the day a team broke that seal and let warm air reach her for the first time. Then they saw the shoulder. The cold had kept something rarer than the body, the mark on her skin. A creature with the body of a deer, the beak of a bird of prey, and antlers that end in the heads of more birds. A deer-griffin, a thing that never walked the Altai because it never walked anywhere. The lines are sharp, the pigment holds. It looks less like a mark 25 centuries old and more like one made yesterday.
Tattoos like hers have surfaced before,
On other Pazyryk bodies, in other mounds across the same plateau. Predators, prey, antlered things that exist nowhere in nature, pressed into skin the cold then chose, almost deliberately, to keep. Scholars can describe the style. They can date the technique. What they cannot do, after 3 decades, is say with certainty what it meant to the woman who wore it. And there is something else strange about her grave. Everything around her survived. Nothing around her explains her. She is not introduced by an inscription. No retinue tells her story for her. She lies alone at the center of the evidence, and the evidence does not speak. Around the grave, the offerings did survive. Accounts commonly describe 6 sacrificed horses near the burial. Not decoration, but status carried into death. Horses were wealth among the Pazyryk, and someone had been willing to send several of them into the ground with her. Inside the coffin lay small containers. Early stories tied the burial to cannabis. Later examination identified the seeds as coriander instead. The legend stayed. The evidence changed.
The specialists agree on one thing. This was a woman of unusual status.
They stopped short of agreeing on what that status was. Queen, priestess, something with no modern name. The silk and the headdress say she mattered. They do not say who she was. Princess is the word reverence gave her, decades after the dig. No label, no inscription, no Pazyryk record ever used it. In 2014, her remains went through CT and MRI scans most ancient burials never receive. The imaging found tissue changes that modern radiologists associate with breast cancer. Enough to suggest how she may have suffered, but not enough to end the argument over how she died. Other readings come from the objects around her. A small mirror, what may be a container for pigment, things that don't fit a servant's grave. Some take them as signs she was a healer, or someone whose role was to speak, to tell, to remember on behalf of others. But that is conjecture built from objects, not proof built from records. The Pazyryk left no writing to confirm it or deny it. Today, she runs the Anokhian National Museum in Gorno-Altisk, inside a custom sarcophagus engineered to hold the exact cold and humidity of the kurgan that kept her. A machine built to keep doing what a mountain did by accident.
Not everyone wanted her moved.
For years, members of the Altai community have petitioned to return her to the ground, treating the excavation as a wound that glass cases have only kept open. The museum holds the body. The community holds the demand. Neither has the final word. And the argument over where a 2,500-year-old woman should rest has outlasted many of the people who began it. In 2003, an earthquake struck the region. Among many Altai, it was not read as coincidence. It was read as an answer, the ground responding to what had been taken from it. Geologists who studied the fault lines recorded seismic activity with no documented link to a grave 100 kilometers away. Belief and measurement reached two different conclusions, and they have not moved closer since. Which brings the story back to the smallest detail: the mark on her shoulder. Compare it across the other Pazyryk finds: the animals, the predator and prey scenes, the hybrid creatures stitched under skin. And one thing becomes clear. This was never decoration. It was a system. Cultures of that era used animal imagery to mark rank, lineage, role. The consistency across these burials says hers followed rules. The rules themselves are the part no one has recovered. 25 centuries of ice did the one thing fire, soil, and time could not. It kept the message whole. It just never came with a translation. She survived almost perfectly. The headdress survived. The silk survived. The horses, the offerings, the bones. Enough survived to reconstruct how she was buried, but not enough to end the argument over how she died. The one thing that did not survive is the part that would explain why any of it mattered to her. What the mark on her shoulder was meant to say, and to whom. The ice did not erase her. It only postponed the questions. And some echoes the earth gives back not to answer us, but to remind us how much has already gone quiet.